Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kaylin and we are back with another video. This is episode 3 of the In My Feelings series. We are talking all things friendship and loneliness. So if you're one of the girls that is, struggling with maybe making friendships, understanding friendships, navigating friendships, especially as an adult, we've been talking about relationships and who should be in your life, and friendships are hard. And today we are talking about Find Your People by Jennie Allen. It gets real. Makes you look at yourself in a lot of situations, and then just kind of gives you a guideline on how we can find community, because ultimately God made us to be in community with others. He did not make us to be alone. So if you are on a journey to trying to find friendships, make new friendships, strengthen your current friendships, then this video is for you. Specs on this book, all about friendships, community. I'm gonna start by just reading the inside and the back cover so you can kind of get a summary of what the book is about, because I'm not going to dive deep into it. Just going to pull out 3 key points for you on how you can build friendships and find community, find friendships. You aren't alone in feeling alone. Most of us have a lot of people in our lives, friends on social media, neighborhood acquaintances, colleagues, and even the barista at our favorite coffee shop. But do we have people who ask, how are you really? When we say we're fine? People who drop by unannounced simply to check in. People who cry with us, celebrate us, and help us daily grow into who God created us to be. The ache of loneliness is real and it's haunting us. Never before in the history of the world have we been more connected, so why do we feel so isolated? In Find Your People, Jennie Allen explores how we can follow the example of Jesus as we nurture rich, life-giving friendships in a world that is moving faster, automating more, and delivering everything except meaningful relationships to our front doors. Full of real-life stories, science-based insights, practical ideas for building deep community, and a straightforward look at what to do when relationships get messy, Find Your People invites you to leave behind your loneliness and experience the power of friendship as it was meant to be. So the back says we aren't supposed to be this lonely. All too often we're tempted to do life alone, whether because we're so busy or because relationships feel risky and hard. But science confirms that consistent, meaningful connection with others is crucial to our mental and spiritual health. We are meant to live known and loved, and yet so many of us are hiding behind emotional walls that we're experiencing an epidemic of loneliness. Find Your People offers practical solutions for creating true community in a world that's both more connected and more isolating than ever before. Drawing on fascinating insights from science and history, timeless biblical truth, and vulnerable stories from her own life, best-selling author Jennie Allen helps you overcome the barriers to making new friends and learn to initiate with easy-to-follow steps, find simple ways to press through awkward to get to authentic in conversations, understand how conflict can strengthen relationships rather than destroy them, identify the type of friend you are and the types of friends you need, and learn the 5 practical ingredients you need to have the healthy friendships you've always longed for. You were created to play, engage, adventure, and explore with others. In Find Your People, you'll discover exactly how to dive into the deep end and experience the full wonder of community, because while the ache of loneliness is real, it does not have to be your reality. This book was so good. I read this a while ago, maybe like early summer I read this. To be completely transparent, I am in a season where I am trying to find Christian friendships, people who are like-minded. As we mentioned in the videos before, if you haven't watched them, go ahead and watch them, because we talk about defining the people in your life and putting them in the category that they belong in. And then last week we talked about boundaries and the boundaries that you should have in relationships and friendships, and yeah, all it kind of goes together. So now that we understand that everyone has to have a designated role in our life, we understand what boundaries that we need. Now we can kind of step into, okay, now when I'm making new friends, how can I go about that? How do I find these authentic relationships? What am I supposed to be looking for? How am I supposed to be as a person? A lot of times in friendship, we're worried about what other people bring, but what are we bringing to the friendship? What are some things that we need to work on? What are some realities that we might need to accept about ourselves in order to have healthy friendships? So this book covers it all. It's 12 chapters, 234 pages. It's not long at all. It has 3 parts. The first part is we need each other, together. The second part is the path to connection, and the third part is fighting for your village. I'm not going to dive deep because obviously reading the book will be your best bet to get all the information, but I wanted to pull out some things that would help everyone in their journey to finding friendships. And y'all, I'm talking to myself because I'm looking for the friendships too. We're going to talk about 3 ways to build friendships, and this is all coming from out of the book. So the first way is notice who is already right in front of you. And I think that this can just go like right over our heads, because when I was reading it, I was like, wow, that's very true. Noticing who you're already around, who's not one of your friends, who could be a potential friend. It could be people at church, people at work, people at school, but you talk to in the gym. Like, who is already around you, or do you see on a daily basis that you kind of feel that connection already to, or the possibility to have that connection and grow in that connection. So a lot of the times the book was pointing out our potential friendships that would feed us and give us the connection and joy that we want. Some of the people are right in front of us. We just have to take that next step in pursuing and seeing if it truly is a friendship that can be on a deeper level. It says we're around people that could be more than acquaintances if we invited them into our lives. So I know one of the things for me, and I know there's a lot of people that have the same mindset, is separating like work and your personal life, or like school and your personal life. A lot of people don't want to make friendships at work, and it's not to say that you can't, but it's like an area to be mindful and careful in. But this book pointed out that no, you really might be able to find that friend that you're looking for at work. If you find that person and you make that initiation to step out and ask them and hang out with them and talk to them more outside of work, that might be someone that can be a lifelong friend. It's just us putting that first step in and trying to figure out like, hey, this could be a potential relationship. Let's just give it a shot and see if we can take this outside of work or wherever you are. So number 1, notice who's already in front of you and around you. Now, when you notice who is already around you, it brings us to number 2. Put yourself out there. This is my problem. It is so awkward to initiate things sometimes, and it's just like, why does it have to be awkward? Like, why are we so in our heads sometimes? But it's awkward to just be like, hey, like, you want to go out? Especially in this day and age, like, people don't really even talk in person anymore. Like, everyone's in their phones, or they're just like rushing around. Like, no one's really in the moment wanting to talk and connect anymore like how it used to be. So it's just kind of awkward to put that initial effort out there, but that's the only way we're going to make these relationships. It talked about stop waiting on other people to initiate, and a lot of the times we want people to initiate, or we are so used to being the one who initiates that it gets very frustrating and annoying to always be that friend who's like asking people to hang out and stuff, but then no one asks you. She touches on that in this book, and she says if you're the one who's always reaching out and initiating and it's starting to become frustrating or like get to you, take a moment, feel those feelings, move on, and keep initiating, because that's going to be what continues those relationships. Some people maybe just don't have it in them to initiate, but I think there's a fine line between you like overdoing it and wearing yourself out to the point where it kind of like messes with your own mental health. If it gets to that point, then maybe not, but to not take everything so personal. And if you're the one who initiates, it's just like maybe you're good at that. Maybe the other person just can't get it together to stop and think about things to initiate. So she just says like, if you're that person, continue to be that person. That's going to help you get to these relationships. She says you will never have friends unless you are willing to consistently initiate. And when I first read this, I think I posted on Instagram and everything, and I was like, well, this is exactly why I don't have friends, because I cannot stand being the only one who initiates things. I want to feel like you want to hang out with me. I want to feel like you want to talk to me too. I don't want it to seem like I'm like begging you to be my friend. Like, that is where the always initiating has been a problem for me, but this is something that I'm working on. So if you're also the same way, we can work on it together, because it can get frustrating, it can get annoying, but maybe if we have those conversations with people like, you know what, I'm kind of tired of always being the one to initiate, and bring it up and just see where it goes. I don't think I've ever brought it up to anyone, so it's an option just to see where it goes. Like, just being honest and kind of having those hard conversations might help get over some of the hurdles that we face in friendships. She also talks talks about how Jesus was a great initiator, how he always reached out to people, he stopped and talked to people, he was always doing things. So as always, he's our example for everything. So she touches on a lot of things with Jesus as well. She also touches on how to know what type of people to look for. So there are 6 types of people she said to look for, and it's not to say that everyone has to have every single one of these things. You might have one friend for each type of category. Some might weave in and have 2 of the things, but she just said these are the type of people that you should be looking for when it comes to friendship. So the first one is the sage. The sage is the friend who listens, prays, and advises. The encourager, that's the friend who believes in you and supports you. The foxhole friend is the friend that gets their hands dirty with you, right beside you through everything, whether it's good or bad, they are right there. That's like your ride or die. The challenger, that's the friend who's not afraid to tell you the truth. The fun one, that's the friend who brings the party, makes you laugh, pulls everyone together. And then the last one is the planner, which is the friend that is the organized and thoughtful friend, the one who remembers all the little things like your birthday, anniversaries, all that kind of stuff. She goes to say at the end, no one can be your everything, but everyone has something to say, something to teach you, and something to bring to your life. And that's what we have to remember. So as I said, everyone does not have to have every single one of these qualities. You might have one friend that does this, one friend that does that, one friend that does that, and that's completely okay. So the third thing is start great conversations. This is another thing that just drives me crazy. I'm at the point, and I even talked with people about this, I'm tired of the surface level conversations. Hi, how are you? Good. How's everything going? Everything's good. We need the deep connections. Like, it's so frustrating when you get to the point where you're like, I'm friends with these people and I have no idea what's going on in their life, like on a truly like deep level. So I'm at the point where I'm looking for like deeper connections where we can build and we can talk, we can cry together, we can pray together, we can laugh together, go out, like do everything, like just more deeper. And I don't have to feel like, you have to lie or like cover up like really how you're feeling. Like, nope, girl, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I just got done crying, or I'm actually calling you while I'm crying. Like those kind of deep relationships, it starts with the kind of conversations that you have with these friends. She talks about how to have deeper conversations. We have to learn to ask more intentional questions. So people don't know how to ask good questions and genuinely share their hearts, she said, which is why most conversations lead to complaining and gossip. And I don't know if any of you guys deal with it, but I'm tired of talking to people and it's just like I'm just listening to you complain or talking about people. I want to know about what's going on with you. I want to know the real, like, let's get to the real part. Let's focus on each other and having that like intimate connection rather than every time you come together is just to gossip and complain. That's not deep. That's not intimate. That's not fulfilling friendship. So starting off with our conversations, she said that complaining seeks relief, but vulnerability seeks transformation and connection. And when you talk about like the hard things and you talk about the good things, that's how you feel connected to one another. So one of the things that this book really taught me is like, okay, be more mindful about how to hold conversations. Like instead of asking someone, how are you? I'm going to start being specific. Like if I know something about, like say for me, oh, how's Cameron doing with so-and-so? Like asking people more like intimate details so that you can actually talk about it. If someone got a promotion, oh, how's your new job going in the new position? Like what's been great about it? Has anything been hard? Like trying to get into like some more like meaty conversation rather than just, oh, how's work? Good. So I'm going to try to stop asking like yes or no questions and do a more of an open-ended question so that, you can really build that conversation and then connection will be built. And then that person will probably feel a lot better. Like, oh, that person really wants to know how I am, really wants to know how, all this is going, how the family is, how, I'm dealing with this, so forth and so on. Just more intentional conversations. She does talk about if something doesn't work with someone, don't quit, just move on and keep trying. So building friendships is everyone's not going to be your friend. Every single person that you try to create a friendship with, it may not work out, but not holding on to that and making you stop seeking what you really truly want and your heart desires. I know for me, a lot of friendship trauma has stopped me from being so open with people and initiating things because of just having in the back of my mind, well, this person, they hurt me, they did this, and this, and I'm still kind of holding on to that, and I'm preventing new people from coming in and putting myself out there to make these new relationships. So she does touch on that as well. Not quitting. Like, it's not going to work out with everyone, and that's life. Everyone's not going to be in our lives for every single season, but not holding on to those things and preventing yourself from experiencing relationships that God may be sending your way. She talks about walking through conflict, about how a lot of relationships and friendships, people are just so easy to give up and walk away. She talks about things that you can do to work through conflict and certain things to think about when you are experiencing conflict with friends. So that was also a really good point and a chapter that I really enjoyed because it just makes you think about things a little bit differently. And then the last and most final point of this video is just going to be realizing and understanding that the best friend that you're going to have, the most consistent friend that you're going to have, the friend that's going to be there for you from beginning to end, no matter what, is Jesus. And I think that sometimes we put our expectations on people to fulfill everything that we need, and no one can. We're all sinners. We all fall short. We're going to hurt people. They're going to hurt us. But the one who will never hurt us, who will never leave us, is Jesus. So he is the ultimate friend, the ultimate person we should be trying to be like. And to get these friends, we also have to be that person. So whatever friend you want, you start doing that to other people yourselves. So then when what you put out there will attract back to you. Start making that step towards making the change inside before pointing at like everybody else. Become the friend that you want. But our friend that we should be modeling is Jesus, because he shows us how to be a good friend and how to be there for each other, how to love each other. And that is pretty much it for this video. If you're trying to find some answers and guidance on making friends and getting out of being lonely and isolated, this is a good book to use as a resource. God did not create us to be alone. He doesn't want us to isolate. He wants us to have connection with others and form these friendships and relationships that will help fill our cups, fill others' cups, and just helps us to be more connected and live out who God created us to be. So I thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. As always, it will be linked down below, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.